Binge the full week of The Ray Taylor Show ad-free over at inspireddisorder.com/plus.
This is The Ray Taylor Show.
Rayz Dayz, episode 150. This is a weekly diary podcast hosted by me, Ray Taylor. Every Saturday, I share updates on my journey as an artist, podcaster, business owner, and human. I'm excited to share my experiences with you and hope that my journey can serve as a source of inspiration and positivity for you. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about the thing that I've been mentioning, that I've been preparing for the last month, finally happened, and I'm going to be talking about the 111 night market that I participated in as I record this last night as this episode comes out last Saturday. This is an event that takes place on the third Saturday of every month in Palm Desert. So I will be talking about that primarily throughout this entire episode, maybe a little bit of the prep, the final prep I did before the event, maybe some random thoughts here and there, but that's primarily what I'm going to be talking about. And then I will be, as always, sharing something that I am thankful for, as I do at the end of every episode of Rayz Dayz. So let's get into it, shall we? So in the last bits of prep that I needed to do, I pretty much got everything done in time. Thankfully, I didn't necessarily have the easy week that I thought I would do. It was very weird preparing for this show, getting everything reviewed and prepped and all of my show notes prepped and the website prepped and doing all of those things so that I didn't have to worry about them on Saturday, because that is the day where I usually prep for the show. And because I was going to be busy all day, I knew it had to get done. I record on Sundays, so it had to be done before Saturday. Thankfully, I got all of that stuff done. Which kind of felt good to get that stuff done. It's actually something I would love to stay up on and do more of, if only to make my Saturdays easier, especially if I start doing more events than just the 111 night market, which I do hope to do. But it does feel good to know that when I get, like if I'm doing a movie review, it feels good to not only watch the movie, take my notes, but also to get those notes edited into the show notes, get all the things so I don't lose track. And then also, to make sure that the website and the artwork and just everything is done. Like I can just complete the entire everything necessary aside from recording the actual episode, to get all of those things done and prepared in a single chunk and then moving on to the next thing, I kind of enjoy. Versus usually I'll take my notes as I watch things, and then Saturday is when I will prep my website, prep all the notes, create all the artwork. I'll do all of that stuff on Saturday, which I don't mind doing it that way either. It makes Saturday kind of a busy day. I'm working on different things throughout the day, but it's all an effort to prepare to record the next day on Sunday. But it felt good to get all of those things done. And weird. It's always weird when I try something new, but it would be something that I kind of want to do in general, right? That way just even less, because it's like I don't like leaving loose ends with things. Like when I record this show, right, all 7 episodes for next week, like Sundays I do everything from top to bottom, produce each show, get everything edited, uploaded, and done. I don't want to have to think about anything on Monday aside from maybe doing the clips for social media, which that's a whole nother ball of wax. But as far as getting the episodes produced and ready to be released, I'm glad that I do everything on Sunday, because I know in the past when I produce stuff differently, which is something that a lot of podcasters do, a big mistake that they do is that they record something and then they spend a week procrastinating on editing and stress about editing and stress about all this stuff. and barely get it out on time, if they even do get it out on time, something that I used to do early on in podcasting. And eventually I got to a point where I wanted to produce the show and turn it around and get it released as fast as possible. The soonest I can stop thinking about it at all, the better. And that's something that, I enjoy and would like to apply to the other parts of things that I produce. So aside from prepping for getting the Ray Taylor Show stuff done, it was also doing the last minute prep, editing the video that I wanted to play on my TV, which I decided to take the larger TV, which I'm glad I did. Last minute thought of a different way that I want, like completely redid the video in the last minute, and I like the way it turned out. Did all the displays that I needed to design and print out, all the last minute stuff. The one thing I didn't do was I had a plan to print out QR codes for all of the paintings that were going to be on display so that somebody could scan the QR code and watch the making of video for that painting. After having participated in the event and seeing how little the QR codes were ever scanned for all of the different things that I had them available for, I realized that that's not something that people are actually going to be doing at this event. Maybe if I do a gallery showing where people are spending more time looking at my stuff and are there just to see my stuff, and it's not a like street fair type of an environment, then I will probably do it. But I'm kind of glad that I didn't spend that time and instead just kind of relaxed. Like Friday, I was pretty much done with everything. So Saturday, all I had to do was the art fair. So literally, aside from like posting my social media, which I do every day, I knew I could sleep in Saturday, which I did, and just kind of doing last minute organizing and figuring last minute things out, seeing how I'm going to pack things and all that kind of stuff. Doing little last minute things, which is fine. Primarily just watched some Ted Lasso. New season of Ted Lasso is finally coming out. So I rewatching all of the early episodes of Ted Lasso season 1 and 2. I forgot how much I absolutely love that show, and missed that positivity that show is just drenched in. And so doing that, and just was actually kind of surprised how little stress I had Saturday before leaving to go do the show. And I think a lot of that is because I knew how I was going to set everything up. Despite this being a completely new setup, I'm showing completely new artwork than I did when I used to do these pop-up shows in San Diego. But because I did have that experience of setting up my canopy, I know how to do all these things on my own. I don't need somebody to help me set up my canopy. I don't need help to do any of this stuff. I know exactly that I can handle it on my own, so I have zero worry about that. The setup I have is super simple. So, and I tested everything out, got everything pretty much set up. So even when I did go to set it up, it went pretty smoothly. But I was pretty not nervous at all. Very surprising. Whereas in the past, I would have been very nervous. Doing anything for like the first time, I'm nervous. When I started recording this show, nervous to be sitting in a room by myself talking to a camera. Doing a podcast in general, nervous. I would get so nervous before a podcast, especially when I was doing interviews of people. I used to get so nervous. And part of that probably is the fact that I'm sober. I have a feeling that the nervousness that I used to feel was contributed to not really having full control over my senses at that given moment, right? But probably a lot of things contributed to me feeling pretty calm. I did get a little nervous just before, did some meditation, which I haven't done in a long time, but I know works to help calm me and get me focused and in the zone. Did some Tibetan monk chanting with, the music, the things that I've talked about on this podcast before. Is my go-to for it. Feels so amazing. It's amazing. So I did that. Listened to some music that was motivational, inspirational, and went there. Setup was pretty simple, right? I didn't know who I had a name, but I didn't know what the person looked like that I was setting up, so I kind of just drove into the area and just looked around for somebody that noticed me driving in the area that wasn't already setting up their stuff. And I figured that would be the person. So I found the person. They showed me where my space was. And, I showed up. Start time was at 3. I showed up probably 2:45. So I showed up a little early. But there was still plenty of people already setting up. And I forgot how exhausting it is to set up. Like, I was just, trying to go as fast as possible. I got everything, for the most part, set up by the time the event started at 5. There was still a few things. I had some issues with my shirts. That was like the one thing that I kind of didn't work out well. My plan for that didn't work out well, but I easily know how to fix that for next time. Let's take a quick break from this episode because I want to talk about, are you looking to add some unique and expressive artwork to your home, office, or wardrobe? Look no further than the Many Faces series by Rayz Dayz. That's me. These abstract paintings on paper explore the endless possibilities of the human face, capturing unique expressions of emotion, mood, tone, and energy in just a few minimal features. Now you can bring these stunning and thought-provoking pieces into your own space with high-quality prints and t-shirts, featuring designs from the Many Faces series. Or take home a one-of-a-kind original piece for your collection. Don't miss out on this opportunity to add some original and expressive artwork to your home, office, or wardrobe. Head on over to inspireddisorder.com to browse and purchase original artworks, prints, and t-shirts from the Many Faces series today. And now, back to the show. But yeah, for the most part, setup went smooth. The neighbors that I was next to were super cool. There's another artist across the way, the colorblind artist. He brands himself as, which is kind of interesting that, both of us are artists that are colorblind. I don't think I told him that I was, and it's not something that I really, despite it being part of who I am, it's not something that is my entire identity as an artist. But he's a super nice guy. There's these two dudes that are next to me, which I found out also do a podcast. And they were selling some cool art, which I think is other people's art. I don't really know their entire situation, but it seems like they kind of sell other people's art. Got to meet other artists that, I followed on Instagram, or they followed me. But because it was just me by myself, I had no opportunity to leave my booth at any moment during the show, which I would have loved to get food. The food smelled amazing. Which is fine. I don't mind. The whole idea of these shows for me is that I can do that. I don't want to have to rely on anybody to help me. Not that I wouldn't mind if somebody were to show up and, hold down the fort, as it were, or get me some food or whatever, but not necessary. I also don't need to be spending money. I need to be making money. That is the whole purpose of going to this thing. So despite everything setting up cool, despite the fact that I was happy with the display, despite the fact that the TV setup I really enjoyed came together, everything came together pretty nice. The only issues really that I had, aside from the power cutting out, the whole power issue was a little tricky. There's only 2 generators, and getting access to that, the first way I was hooked up, we lost power, and so I decided to hook up to my neighbors on the other side, and thankfully that worked, but even still the power went out at one point, which isn't necessarily a big thing, but the fact that my TV is a big part of my display, and the fact that electronics in general don't necessarily do well with having the power immediately cut off, kind of is a little disturbing. Thankfully, nothing happened to my TV, but just having the lights go out is kind of a bummer. But it only happened a couple times. Not a huge issue, but just a minor issue. And because it's more of a street fair vibe, there's a beer garden, there's DJs, there's food. A lot of the vendors aren't necessarily artists selling artwork. There are a lot of different types of vendors there selling a lot of different types of things. So me selling original artwork isn't necessarily something that the people showing up to that event are all going to be super stoked to check out, which I knew that going in, but it was clear, like just seeing, there were definitely people that got drawn in and would spend time looking at my stuff. Obviously, I only made 2 sales, which is kind of a bummer, and both sales were of my lowest priced art, which is also a bummer. So I technically lost money doing this show, but I think of it as I need to get out into the public. The public needs to see my work. The other vendors and things, I need to network with them, which I was able to, form a couple relationships in some ways with the other people that were around me. Obviously, Instagram is kind of tying everybody together. Hopefully next month, as we get closer, this is the prime time for the desert to have a lot of people from out of town. It's also only the second time they did this event, so it's not a well-known event. So I have a feeling it's going to get better before summer hits. Once summer hits, it's probably going to die. So now is the time. If it's ever going to work, now is the time. And I also know in doing the shows in San Diego, doing Ray at Night, I know that it only takes you can make the bulk of your sales in a half-hour window. There's not necessarily, sometimes there's a steady flow of people that want to buy stuff. But sometimes you make those last few sales right before it closes down. So I also knew that was possible, which also was a little bit of an issue, a little bit of a bummer that, we are probably, the event's over at 9 o'clock. They ask the vendors to wait until 9 o'clock before they start breaking down. And around 8:15, 8:30, I start seeing, in my little section, some vendors packing up. And specifically a vendor which cool guys, and, obviously they can do whatever they want to do. I was tapped into their power. I was hooked into their surge protector. And when I saw them start to pack up, I'm like, well, I kind of did a few things to kind of start rearranging so I could start packing up, but I knew I was going to be running out of power sooner than later. And it's also a bummer because the people that are there, when they start seeing people packing up, that doesn't necessarily encourage them to go around and shop still. Right? It is very much a sign of now's the time to leave. And so it was a little bit of a bummer to see it get packed up a little bit early, which it seems like is something that they're trying to avoid. So I don't necessarily blame the organizers for that in any way. And I don't necessarily even blame the vendors. Maybe they were not selling as much as I was, but also I know I need this money. this is like one of the few things that I can generate income doing. And if there was a person that came late and happened to be into art and maybe even happened to like the work I was doing, like that could have in one purchase made it a profitable trip. So a little bit of an issue, but whatever. It's as far as things that can go wrong at a street fair, not the biggest thing. The only real worries I had were like the potential of like just dealing with drunk people because there is a beer garden, dealing with homeless people that might be mentally unwell or strung out on something, you know, causing any issues like that. There was zero issues as far as that's concerned. All of the people that I encountered were all nice, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun thing. I liked that I got to test out my new setup. I felt it was a success as far as those things. I successfully displayed my art exactly how I wanted to for the most part. There's a few things I'll change for next month. Hopefully next month there will be more people. And it's not like, hopefully that, as people know about this thing, maybe they'll know that like there are artists that are selling artwork. So maybe more people will go to actually purchase artwork. So overall, I enjoyed the experience. I enjoyed the people. One of the organizers came around, asked me how I was doing. It's hard to compare when it's my first time there. And it was still, I think it was still, I still had like an hour, I think, to go. But so I was still hopeful that I would make more sales. But it's one of those things where you just never know. And I did stuff even though like when I did Ray at Night in San Diego, and more times than not, I made money doing it. But I remember a time where I didn't sell anything at Ray at Night. So it's not the worst. And I think that even costs more to participate in than this thing did. So despite the fact that I lost money going to do that, I think it was an overall benefit where I can find out other venues that people are doing, which I already found out about another one that sadly takes place on Sunday morning, so that will interrupt how I produce the show in some ways, which I think I can figure out how to get around that. But it's an event that I can benefit from more than just selling artwork, where the public can see my work, where other artists and vendors can see my work to network and to work with and find out new opportunities, and also to participate in this new event that could hopefully grow into something that is bigger and that is something that is good for artists, right? Hopefully. So overall, I thought it was a success. Wished it had been more of a financial success, because I got to tell you, like it seems like on this trajectory that the worst time to be in the desert, when everybody leaves because it gets really hot and it slows down, and a lot of businesses don't even stay open, although I think that's slowly changing, seems to be when I might run out of money. And so I'm at a point where it's like doing these events needs to, like, I need to start making enough money, not only so I could just pay my bills, but I need to get my van working so I don't have to rely on my friends, borrowing my friend's car and stuff like that. Like there's like, I need to start existing and generating income on my own. So anyway, it was a great event. I applied for next month, still waiting to hear back, but of course the event just happened last night. So I want to participate next month, March 18th. If you're in the Palm Desert area, Coachella Valley, 111 Night Market, 5 o'clock to 9 o'clock, I should be there. So bring your money. I have artwork anywhere from $20 to like $350. So be generous. Show your support. And also, I give away free stickers. I had a giveaway, which I don't know if anybody signed up yet. It wasn't like the experience of even the free giving away the free stuff completely different than Ray and Night. Like the free stickers and things that I did at Ray at Night was far different. it's just weird. It's just weird doing this new thing, but it's also a street fair versus like an art fair. So anyway, mostly a success. Let's take a quick break right now to talk about, are you a fan of original artwork and live events? Look no further than the Many Faces series by Ray Taylor and the weekly live stream over at youtube.com/Inspired Disorder. This ongoing series explores the endless possibilities of the human face through abstract ink paintings on paper, capturing unique expressions of emotion, mood, tone, and energy in just a few minimal features. Join me every Thursday at 4:20 Pacific Time as I paint live. Follow the Many Faces series and discover the endless possibilities of the human face. Don't miss out on this opportunity to be part of the action and own a piece of original artwork by me, Ray Taylor. Head to youtube.com/Inspired Disorder every Thursday to catch the live stream, and visit inspireddisorder.com to browse and purchase the Many Faces artwork. And now, let's get back to the show. Let's move on to the thing I'm thankful for. This is something that every episode I want to highlight something, big or small, that I am thankful for. Just to, as a practice, to not always be negative, how it is very easy to be negative with things. So this week, I want to say I am thankful for Alka-Seltzer. I've been doing small stuff lately, but it is the little things that provide so much joy. Alka-Seltzer, plop, plop, fizz, fizz. Oh, what a relief it is. A product that I never used because I used to drink regularly through most of my life, pretty much since my early 20s till my 40s. And in the 20 years, I tried to avoid things like acetaminophen that is in Alka-Seltzer that is damaging to your liver. Like, I'm already doing damage by drinking, so adding the damage of other things that while drinking can exponentially increase things going bad. Tried to avoid it, so I never really used them. But since I've stopped drinking for the last year plus, aside from a handful of times where I drank, I've been using them because not only are they great for acid reflux, which I really don't deal with as much now that I stopped drinking, but still, take acid reflux medicine to avoid. And, the very rare occasion where I still have it at night, it is the worst at night. Like, it is something when I get it at night, it will keep me up. I will just have horrible sleep. It is just brutal. It is horrible. And I got to say, Alka-Seltzer not only works great anytime I have like heartburn or acid reflux, but also even like headaches or just like stomach aches, any of it like works so well for all of the things it says it works well for. And I even got it the cold version, the cold and flu version, because I get a lot of congestion, and I noticed that my congestion in a lot of cases turns into a hearing infection or an ear infection, which then turns into bronchitis, which every few years I will get, depending, around the certain times of year. And I've noticed that even the Alka-Seltzer cold stuff helps to relieve that sinus pressure in a great way, and also tastes good, which I don't mind the regular flavor of Alka-Seltzer. I don't mind the residue that it leaves, and the newer versions don't have that. Some are flavored. I don't care. I enjoy it. I think it helps me in so many ways, and it's great, man. It's like, it's something that I never used, and then now, because I feel like I can use it now because it's not going to harm me in any way, It's amazing. I'm so glad. It's just one of the other small little things that I've enjoyed that just help make those moments of suffering kind of go away, and I appreciate that. And even when I get like a headache, right, I'll still take like ibuprofen, and I find that the Alka-Seltzer works way better for my headaches than the ibuprofen, and faster. So I don't know, man. At least for me, Plop Plop Fizz Fizz, and Alka-Seltzer is a brand. I even like the generic versions. They work just fine as well. I also like the effervescent type of a thing. I like that the cold stuff almost makes your water taste like soda. Tastes like a 7-Up, which if you have an upset stomach is great. It's just, I enjoy it. It's good. I recommend it, obviously. I'm thankful for it. It is one of those small little things that have just been so nice this past year. In using it. So this week, I am thankful for Alka-Seltzer. That was it for this episode. I'm also thankful for the opportunity to connect with you and through this podcast, and for the chance to share my journey with you. Please join the conversation by leaving a comment or rating on your favorite podcasting app or on YouTube if you're watching this. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next Saturday for another episode of Rayz Dayz.
New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on YouTube and everywhere our podcasts are found. Binge the full week over at InspiredDisorder.com/plus. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at InspiredDisorder.com. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!
Today is the day where you wake up and you realize that everything that you've been dreaming about, everything that you've been wanting, every goal and wish and hope that you've ever had can become real. Dreams can come true. What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.